Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Constance the Reader, and it's time for the January wrap up. So January, it's almost over. Actually, today is my sister's birthday, so happy birthday, Tiffany. But I had a good reading month so far. I wanted to film more. It didn't happen, but that's okay because it meant that I got to read 18 books. And I also completed the Naruto TBR challenge, so I am a winner, and that's all that matters. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So I had 4 cards, which I completed all of them, so I'm very happy. So a book about a divorce. I read The Beach House by Rachel Hannah. That I gave, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 stars. I didn't hate the fact that I read it, but I certainly wouldn't read anything else in the series. Basically, this is following a woman named Julie. She is like in her 40s. She's married to a man named Michael. They have 2 kids. They've had the perfect, predictable, cookie cutter life. And I think her job may have been to write like in a local newspaper, but like essentially she has had no job. She's had a really nice privileged life. And it's getting to the point where her husband, it's time for him to retire. They are supposed to be selling the house. Like we literally start the book with them in the process of packing their house up, getting ready to sell it, to move to the beach and retire and have a beautiful life. And unfortunately, Michael had other plans. He actually is like, bitch, you're served. I'm going to divorce you because I've been cheating on you. I've been having an affair with a woman in Boston. I don't remember where they live, but he would take business trips to Boston. And she is pregnant. Oh, yeah, and I proposed to the bitch. So as soon as this divorce is final, I'm marrying this hoe. So, yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. Okay, so Julie, rightfully upset. Okay, I get why Julie is mad and she has a right to be. Get the alimony, ma'am. So, you know, clearly Julie is confused. She didn't see this coming and she decides that she's going to go through with living on the beach, but she realizes like she has no friends here. They were all very superficial. They didn't really care. They're more about like, you're getting divorced. Ooh, we might have to like step away from you, or we're going to need to get you a man. Disrespectful. So she gets her stuff as the divorce is going through and she moves to South Carolina. I think that's where she lives, in South Carolina. She gets like a really crappy house that has to be worked on before she can move into it. And you know, I liked where she ends up because she meets characters that are really likable, like very, very nice people, obviously. That's supposed to be the difference. You know, they're in the South, Southern hospitality. Yeah, so that's great. Loved those people. Julie, though, you know, she goes from someone I sympathize with to someone I actually ended up disliking. So her mother, who sucks, shows up with her sister. And she's like, hey, I can't with your sister. I want y'all to get along though, because you've never gotten along. Let's just let her live with you now because she's going through something. Very rude. I don't know why you would do that, but you know what? I believe it. So the relationship between Julie and her sister is what made me really, really dislike Julie. So as I said, Julie, privileged life. Her whole identity is being a wife and a mother, and that's fine. But her sister's hasn't been. She's not married. She's never had kids. She's traveled for work, and her work is, you know, more on the hippie side. Not my term to use. That's just what constantly everyone is considering, like, saying her sister is like. So she's a yoga instructor. She's traveled the world. And Julie basically, like, eventually she comes to admit that she's been jealous of her sister because her sister has left their tiny town and has experienced life and has stories and has, you know, just life experiences that Julie has never had. Her sister's also very extroverted. I can't remember her sister's name, unfortunately, but we'll just call her Susan. So Susan has just had a really interesting life, and Julie has always disliked her for that, even though her sister has been like this whole time. Right? So it's not like her sister just decided one day that she was going to be that way. She's just always been that way. So already not feeling the judgmentalness, Then we find out why her mother has like dumped her with Julie, and it's because she's suffering from depression because she was assaulted. And for like a moment, Julie is capable of having some like empathy, but just constantly with the shitty attitude with her sister. And it's like, you know, this is not the time to keep up with the judgment. Okay, shut the hell up. Be there for your sister. Let her be there for you in this time, because she never liked her husband to begin with. And then the other thing that Julie reveals is that, you know, her sister was trying to get close to her daughters, Julie's daughters, and she didn't like that. So she put a stop to it because she didn't want her daughters to be like her sister because of how much she resented her sister living her life. Can you believe that? I just find that disgusting. So Julie is a piece of shit, okay? Let's just keep it real. You're a piece of shit. So that was the first reason why I really did not fuck with Julie. Because, ma'am, really? Come on now. It was just so bad, especially when you find out. Okay, you know, she's kind of into this man who's helping her renovate her house. He seems like a decent guy. And, but then something happens. Michael is in an accident. And honestly, I'm just going to let you know right now, I'm just going to say the whole book because I have a lot of thoughts on this book. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, I'll put a little thing up somewhere. But I'm about to go in on this book because this is another reason why I had a problem with Julie. So Michael gets in an accident and he's in a coma. The doctors call him from wherever the fuck they're from. We'll just say they're from Pennsylvania or something. They call her. They're like, hey, we need somebody here to make decisions. She's like, he's with another bitch. And they're like, yeah, well, she's not really here like that. So she goes to Michael because she insists that her daughters would never forgive her if she wasn't there for their father. But she won't let her daughters really like have a hand in seeing their dad. It's like, in my opinion, and everybody's different, if this was a scenario with my mother, especially in the circumstances of Michael, I absolutely do not expect my mom to be there for my dad if he did what Michael did. That's just my opinion, okay? It just wouldn't happen. But apparently her daughters are like that. So she should have actually let them have access to their aunt because... And they're adult women, by the way. They're not kids. They're adult women. So she goes there. Michael's in a coma. And the woman with the baby, the other lady, shows up. She's like, what are you doing here? And Julie's like, bitch, I'm here because you weren't here. What the hell? Where have you been? She's like, tell Michael that I can't do this. I didn't sign up for being a caretaker. Wow. Wow. Okay. Goodbye. You know, all the while, Julia's like, you know, she really wants to fuck the guy from back in South Carolina. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but they haven't, like, acted on anything yet, so it's fine. Anyway, Michael wakes up. He has the gall, the audacity to be like, what are you doing here? You're keeping her from me. No, she's not. You're younger. And actually, the woman wasn't even younger. She was actually the same age as Julie for the most part. She had a baby, though. Oh, and the other thing was she had a son, and that was, like, so significant. Fuck you, Michael. Okay, you have 2 healthy children over here, and you're worried about having a son? F you. Okay, so Julie lets him know, look, she's gone. She told me straight up she doesn't want to fuck with you anymore. And then she takes care of him. She ends up taking care of him. And I got to a point in the book, I was like, it better not end with Julie taking this motherfucker back. He cheated on her, had a baby on her, and he was already engaged to the other bitch. No, you don't do that, Julie. Love yourself first, please. Then, you know, she's got this house down here. He needs rehabilitation. And he starts treating her like shit, by the way. And her kids had the nerve. And it's because they were raised by Julie. Okay, so another offense against Julie, because this is partly her fault. They're like, Mom, you wouldn't leave our dad, would you? He needs care. Get a home care nurse, okay? He just retired. He can afford it. Thank you very much. Come on. Anyway, basically the end of the book is they're on their way to be in her home Because she's like, look, I'm going to let him live with me. Her sister's like, I don't know why the hell you're doing this. The only one in her corner, in my opinion. And she overhears Michael on the phone with the lady. And he's like, look, I know why you did what you did. It's okay. We're going to be together. I'm going to let her take care of me. But I'll be back to you. Wow. Michael, you're going to hell, okay? You're going straight to jail and hell after that. F you. That pissed me off. But you know what? She redeemed herself because then she said, fuck you. Okay. You're not coming to my house. F you, Michael. Eat shit. Call the bitch to come pick you up. So then she got me back. Okay, then I was like, okay, Julie. So that's why the book kind of got a little bit better for me. That's why it ended up being 3 stars. Because she got her shit together. Because I swear to you, had the book ended with her somehow getting back together with Michael, Rachel Hannah, I would have been very upset. But she did it right. I'm not going to read anything else in the series. Although I would like to know if, maybe I'll just see if someone's done a review. I want to know, like, what happens with the kid. Like, did they actually stay together? Does the kid end up hating him? I would love that. And, you know, did the daughters finally get it together? Anyway, so it was a 3-star book. It was a book about divorce. So there you have it. That was very long-winded, I'm sorry, but I just had to go into it because that one got me. That was the one that got me the most frustrated. So yeah. Next, I did a book with a love triangle. So that was supposed to be Kingsbane. I'm getting to the point where I think I might DNF this series. It's very hard. I've tried to read it physically. I'm listening to it as an audiobook. The audiobook has been somewhat painful because all of the like different accents we're doing with the angel, the way the angels talk, I'm not feeling it. We're going to come back to that at some point. So I chose to kind of cheat a little and read a comic book, which was Archie and Friends Volume 12. And we all know that Archie, Veronica, and Betty are a love triangle. I really wish that Veronica would just see that Archie is not worth it. But I used to read that when I was a kid. I used to have a fat stack of Archie and Friends comics, like in a huge binder. And I honestly think I still have it in my closet. And I would read them again. But I figured, you know what, I really want to pass. So I read that. It was good. It's what you expect. It's your typical Archie and Friends comic. Next, I did a book you think your friend would like, and that was The Ivory Key. The Ivory Key was great. This was 5 stars. This is about 4 siblings, Vera, Renak, Caleb, and Rhea. And they are all estranged for different reasons. Vera is now the Maharani, think the queen of the kingdom. This is something that she knew was going to happen, but it happened very unexpectedly because her mother was assassinated. Unfortunately, someone framed her brother, Caleb, who technically is their half-brother. He is from, his biological mother is from the kingdom that basically attacked them when the mother was assassinated. So they were like, okay, someone framed him. They don't really care about that. They need someone to put in jail, so they put him in jail. So that's why he's estranged, unfortunately. Then there's Renak, who is the twin of Vera. He sucked. I hated him. He's my least favorite sibling of the 4. I wanted to punch him several times. He pissed me off so much. And then you have Rhea. Rhea and Vera are my favorites. I love them. Rhea's the youngest. She ran away from them long before everything happened with the mom being assassinated. And she basically got involved with this like rebellion group called the Ravens. And they are trying to give back to the community. And their goal is to hopefully get magic, which this kingdom does have in this whole story, to give it back to the people. And yeah, that would be the whole point of her and the Ravens. But the thing is, magic is dwindling. Vera knows this, and something that their father was obsessed with before he died was something called the Ivory Key. And this is supposed to unlock the other like magic wells throughout the kingdom. And she becomes obsessed with it when somebody close to her is killed and they find a map to the Ivory Key, which leads her to get reunited with her sister Rhea because she is like kidnapped by the Ravens. When the Ravens find out who Vera is, they're like, fuck, we have to let her go. And she decides that she's going to go back with Vera but on some sneaky shit because they want her, the Ravens, to get magic. So she's like, okay, let me go back to my old life. I'll do this for them. Then you have Ronak. Ronak is working behind the scenes to try to get Caleb released. He wants to break him out of jail, and he hates court life. He doesn't want to be there. He hates his sister Vera, and he doesn't, I mean, I think he's indifferent to Rhea, honestly. I'm not sure why he's so obsessed with his brother Caleb in terms, I mean, obviously it's the right thing to do. His brother shouldn't be there, but it's very clear that Ronak, he doesn't want to be in the kingdom. And even though he does want to break his brother out of jail, because it is the right thing to do, he shouldn't be there. His motives for doing that are still coming from a selfish place. So he is constantly motivated by selfishness, and that's why I don't like him. And then you have Caleb. As I said, he was framed. He's in jail. It really sucks. He has kind of given up on getting out. But when the situation of the Ivory Key comes back into play, Vera's like, I need Caleb's help. So now these 4 estranged siblings are brought back together to leave the kingdom and find the Ivory Key. And this was a fantastic book. As I said, I hated Ronak, but I loved everybody else. There is some betrayal, backstabbing situation. That's why I can't wait for the next book. Because I did see that coming. I did have a feeling that that's what happened. And I definitely won't be giving away this book because it was really good. But I knew that that was going to be the person who was going to betray someone, which really sucked, but it's fine. Anyway, yes, they're trying to find the Ivory Key. They're trying to find out who really killed her mother, which I think it's pretty clear who did that. And now they're all separate, but for different reasons. So they came together. They're still together in a sense, but someone has to go and be a spy. Another person has got to work with like a very shady person. All in all, it was a good book. I liked, as I said, Vera, Rhea, and Caleb are my favorite. I want to see what happens next. I don't know if this is a trilogy or a duology, but if it's a duology, y'all know those are my favorites. I love a duology. So yes, this is very good. So The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman, 5 stars. And the last one was your choice, and that was The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport. I listened to that as an audiobook. That was 5 stars. In general, the book was 5 stars, and it was 5 stars as an audiobook. I would recommend listening to it because it was amazing. Loved it. I think I listened to it on 2 times the speed. That's the sweet spot for me. So it was very enjoyable. But I'm going to read you the description from Goodreads because I have sucked every time trying to explain this book. So let's get into that. Alrighty. So blending fantasy and science fiction, Davenport's fast-paced, action-packed debut kicks off a duology of loyalty and rebellion in which a young Black woman must survive deadly trials in a racist and misogynistic society to become an elite warrior. It's all about blood. The blood spilled between the Republic of Marine and the armies of the Blood Emperor long ago. The blood gifts of Marine's deadliest enemies. The blood that runs through the elite warhouses of Marine, the rulers of the tribunal dedicated to keeping the Republic alive, the blood of the former legatus, so on and so forth. For his granddaughter, Ikenna, our main character, the only thing steady in her life was the man who saved Marine, the man who had trained her in secret, not just in martial art, but in harnessing the blood gift that coursed through her. But now there are too many secrets, and with her grandfather assassinated, Ikenna knows 2 things: that only someone on the tribunal could have ordered his death, and that only a Praetorian guard could have carried out that order. She's bent on revenge as much as discovering the truth, and she pledges herself to the Praetorian trials, a brutal initiation that only a quarter of aspirants survive. She subjects herself to racism directed towards her half-Canaan heritage and the misogyny of society that cherishes progeny over prodigy, all while holding a power that, if found out, would subject her to execution or worse. Ikenna is willing to risk it all because she needs to find out who murdered her grandfather, and then she needs to kill them. Marine has been at peace for a long time. Ikenna joining the Praetorians is about to change all that. Magic and technology converge in the first part of the stunning debut duology where loyalty to oneself and one's blood is more important than anything. So yes, fantastic. So yeah, as I said, 5 stars. Ikenna as a character, I love her. I did have to remember that she is, I guess she's a young adult. There were times where Ikenna was very naive. Like there's this point towards the end where someone makes a really valid point of like, do you really not see how this could have happened? Do you really not see how this situation could have been, oh man, how do I put it? I don't want to, if I say it, then you'll know. Okay. Essentially that, like, you really don't think that that's the case? So much like the description said, she is really doing a balancing act between, should I be loyal to this kingdom that my grandfather fought for? You know, he saved them. Even though it's so clear that somebody up top killed him. And also, it's a very racist and misogynistic society. She is constantly dealing with racism. She's constantly dealing with misogyny. She has to fight very, very psychotic men. Okay, very, very psychotic men. And that really was hard. It was very bloody. People were getting eaten up in this bitch. Not by those people, but, you know. And not only that, the military, that for the Praetorian trials or whatever, it seems like you don't want people to survive. Why are so many people dying this easily? It's a lot. It's a lot. Because these are very healthy people. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't want people to die, but that's just me. That's why I'm not in the military. Anyway, so yeah, Ikenna as a main character, loved it. I love when she eventually, I guess you kind of say like the second part of the book where she realizes someone is coming for me. It doesn't make sense why I'm experiencing all of this. And I'm trying to find out the truth. Someone's trying to stop me from finding out the truth. It was so good. Her powers are awesome. I'm liking the people that she ends up making alliances with. Oh my God. That's why I'm excited for the second book. Also, for everybody who got approved for the second book already on NetGalley, you're amazing. I envy you. I am absolutely jealous of you because I want to read this book so bad, but if I don't get approved for it, it's okay. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all who did. Anyway, all right, unfortunately, I ran out of storage on my cell phone, so I'm not really sure where that cut off, but I had to spend a few minutes deleting everything or deleting stuff off my phone. So excuse me if the end of that last part doesn't make any sense. We're just going to move straight on into manga so I can finally finish this because I don't have much time left. All right, so I finally read Fruits Basket. This is going to be the first and the only time I read this. This wasn't really for me. I did enjoy it for the most part, but I just know I'm not going to finish this series, nor do I want to collect anymore since I know I'm not going to read it. You're following this human named Toru. She is a high school student. She is very sweet. She lost her mother. She's living in a tent because she thought that would be easier than whatever circumstances else she had. She is kind of familiar with this guy at her school who seems very like, you know, arm's length with people, but she finds out that he and the people that he lives with are reincarnations of the Chinese zodiac. So he is a cat, there are rats, there are boars. It's very, very cute. Some people have like, you know, a sadder, dark past to them. But I think for the most part, this is a pretty lighthearted kind of maybe romance type book. I'm not really sure. I know that a lot of people like it, so I'm not going to say that I don't recommend it or anything. It just wasn't for me, so that's it. Not going to read this again, but nice. Glad I finally did it. But for like lighthearted kind of high school manga that I did like was Skip and Loafer. This was really sweet. So you're following your main character, Mitsumi. She's from a small town. She's going to Tokyo for her, I think it's her freshman year of high school. So she is pretty shy, but she's also very sweet. She has big dreams of being a politician. She wants to give back to her community, and she's just a very awesome character. I adore her. She has these friends back home, which of course she misses, but she meets people along the way, like this guy whose name I can't remember, and some other people. The thing I like about her is that she just seems to be a very genuine person, and there are characters who you would think like stereotypically, oh, well, we wouldn't be friends because, you know, she's the popular girl who's really cute, but she's also very sweet, and Mitsumi meets people along the way. I will say, couldn't stand her. Don't like this girl. Can't remember her name, but she ends up being friends with her anyway. It's fine. But yeah, it's a nice, lighthearted book. It's a series that I absolutely want to continue reading, and I predict that I will end up rating this really highly, and I'm hopeful that they get together at the end. It seems like it could happen. Sakamoto Days Volume 2. I could have swore I read the first one, but we're just going to go over this one. Sakamoto Days is really cool. It's about Sakamoto. He is a former assassin. He fell in love. He is married. He has a kid, and he works at a convenience store. But the crime, assassination organization that he used to work for was like, hey, he can't just leave. So y'all are going to have to kill him. So a bunch of people who are from the assassination organization, find out, where he is, and they all just kind of try to get him, and then they end up realizing, no, Sakamoto's really cool. They become friends with him, and it is pretty fun to read. I don't like the fact that people make such a big deal about the fact that he is chunky. Like, it always is referenced all the time. Granted, he is a very hot guy when he sheds the weight, when he goes like into full assassin mode, he's really beaten ass, but he quickly eats and becomes chunky again, which is clearly how he likes himself, and his wife loves him for who he is. So I do like that, but people do make a big deal about the fact that he is overweight. It's not a big deal. He's fat. Who cares? Although I do like the series, I like the characters, I like that he keeps making more friends who are like turning on the assassin organization and just kind of working his convenience store. That's sweet to me. One Piece Volume 34. It's okay. We're still kind of trucking along. I like it. The Davy Bat games are finally over. That was kind of boring, but it is what it is. In general, I'm liking the story, and we're kind of got like a little bit of a background to see what's going on with Robin. I think we're getting into her backstory soon, which my husband says I will really like. Hell's Paradise Volume 2, very good. Obviously, we're still early on. Gabimaru and the rest of the surviving murderers who weren't killed by the island, or the samurai who are like, they're, I don't know, guards, kind of coming together, trying to figure out how to, survive this island that's trying to kill them. Murderers were basically forced to come to this island to get the elixir of life. It's kind of up in the air if this elixir of life actually exists or not, but the island is weird as hell. With that being said, it's still going strong. It's still pretty bloody and violent, and I'm excited to continue the series. Volume 25 of Noragami. We're almost done, and I'm really excited. I think there's only one more volume left. I really hope it's just one volume because, this is volume 25. It's getting kind of long. But with that being said, it's really, really heartbreaking. The more you learn about Yukine and his backstory, you learn a little bit more about the crafter. You learn a little bit more about the main god that everyone keeps referencing. Obviously there's a bunch of gods that are here, but then there's this one main god who's at the top. We'll kind of call her like the queen. And, it's kind of revealed that she has known who the crafter is this whole time. She has been watching, and she hasn't done anything to stop him, per se. But it might be time that she finally puts a stop to it all. But, this cover is very significant. If you've never read the series, you don't know, obviously, up until this point, why Yukine is in this thing. It's very sad. His whole backstory is very, very tragic. You just want Yukine to find happiness, and that's all Yato wants for him too. So I'm really excited for this to be over, but sad because I'm hoping that the ending is good. That's what I want for Yukine and everyone else. I want Hiyori and Yato to be together if it's possible, and I want Yukine to be happy with his found family. Volume 1 of Pluto by Urasawa. I can't find the second volume anywhere, but I promise you I will be continuing the series. It did give me a nightmare after I read it, but that's okay. Basically, years in the future, humans that look like robots are kind of just living and coexisting together. There are these famous, prolific, well-known robots. There's this one character that's like what we would view Smokey the Bear, right? But it's a robot. Are kind of living amongst people, but they're being killed. So well-known robots that are beloved by some are being killed by something or someone. No one knows what, no one knows who. He is the detective who is also a robot, trying to solve these crimes as they're occurring. We still have some more deaths to go, but yeah, I don't know why it gave me nightmares, but it did. It was kind of freaky to think. But yeah, it's a science fiction style manga. I don't even think this is 10 volumes. It's very short, so I do want to finish it, and I'm liking it so far. I read volumes 28, 29, and 30 of Fire Force. I'd like to say that it's almost over, but it's not almost over. We still, I think, have like 5 more volumes to go, if that. I'm really getting to the point where I'm feeling like I need to read this online and finish it, because I really am getting tired of waiting for it to release, because I am getting kind of tired of the series like not finally ending. I mean, you know, for Noragami, we're on volume 25. And that's okay. We're going to get past volume 30 soon, and this is a long story. This is actually longer than Soul Eater, which is fine, but I do kind of feel like at this point we kind of should have like gotten to the conclusion. It's just so much fighting, and then long fighting sequences. I mean, we're still fighting in the final battle, and I am just kind of over it. Now there's doppelgangers, which we knew that was coming, but it's fine. I'm just ready for this to be over, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just ready to find out what happens, because obviously it's very clear that this is a prequel to Soul Eater, that whatever happens at the end of this is what kind of brings us to Soul Eater, and I just want to get to that point. So I'm going to end up reading this online and just knocking it out, because I can't wait no more. I don't even know when the final volume releases in America, and it's just got to end for me. I've got to finish this. And lastly, Goodbye My Rose Garden. So this is a complete series of 3 volumes, and we've got volume 1, and who you see on the front is Alice and Hanako. Volume 2 and volume 3. So to rate this whole series, because it is complete, I would rate it 5 stars. I thought this was beautiful. It was so sweet. You are following Alice and Hanako. This is 20th century England. So Hanako is from Japan. She is encouraged by her mentor to go to England. She wants to meet her favorite author. Unfortunately, she kind of like hits a wall and doesn't get that opportunity, but she runs into Alice. Alice just, you know, tells Hanako, hey, you should come work for me, but there's kind of an ulterior motive there. Nothing sinister though. So the backstory with Alice is that she comes from like a well-off family, and she's engaged to be married, but there's a rumor going around that she is a lesbian, and during this time period, that's a no-go. You're gonna go to jail, unfortunately. So it's illegal to be gay in the story. And even though Alice never actually acted on this relationship that everyone assumes was romantic, obviously this rumor has kind of carried with her since that person in her life, who, in my opinion, I don't think that it ever got to a point where she even had romantic relationships for this former like tutor, mentor, whatever. But she was also Japanese. So everybody in Alice's life is like, hey, okay, I see why you're working with Hanako. Which I felt like that was a little shady, but you know. Anyway, so Hanako kind of starts to develop feelings for Alice too, but of course it's the same way. She feels like it's just admiration, it's just friendship. She really cares for Alice, but one day Alice is like, hey, Hanako, can you kill me? I would like to die. Pretty traumatic for Hanako, if you ask me, but it's because Alice is so consumed with guilt because she doesn't want her family to have a bad reputation and lose everything because of her. And while she's not come to terms with the fact that she is a lesbian, that's clearly what's motivating her, because, you know, she could easily just say the rumor's not true and go on and get married and live her life. But it's very clear that she knows who she is. She feels very strongly that her family won't accept her and that she doesn't want it to affect them. So obviously the love grows between these two. Now, I mean, I think you can guess how this is going to end. I didn't know if it was going to end the way I wanted it to, and it did, which I really loved. But, you know, along the way, Hanako and Alice are, you know, there are people within Alice's life who try to separate them. All the while, you know, Hanako is also writing this love story because she wants to be an author, and the reason why she came there was to meet her favorite author who also writes romance. And in general, I thought that this was a lovely story. I genuinely hope that Dr. Pepperco, the creator, writes a sequel to their life and the lives of the people that they met in the story who also were in same-sex relationships. It was just such a lovely story, full of longing, yearning, romance, you know, acceptance, you know, fighting back at these people trying to keep the love from, you know, these two. But also, one thing I really liked was, you know, Alice is so concerned about how her family is going to feel. She has a sister who tells her, like, look, Alice, I will always love you. Don't think you will be the only family disappointment, because during this time, this is when the suffrage movement is coming. And she tells Alice, like, I'm going to join in the fight for women's rights. So there's a lot of like female empowerment in this, and I loved it. So in general, I thought the series was fantastic. I would absolutely recommend this. You know, it's considered a GL, and this was my first like complete GL that I read, and I really liked it. Yeah, absolutely. I really don't know which one I would want to display front facing, because they're all so beautiful, but I think this one would deserve to get front facing privileges. So pretty. So yes, did I say at the beginning that I read 18 books? I'm not sure, but I read a total of 18 books. I had a good reading month for January. Please, I hope you enjoyed the next video, which will be my TBR. We're going to do the Naruto TBR game, and then everything else I'm going to read for the month of February, which is also my birthday month. I will be 33. If you were with me last year, you know that I kind of did like a birthday stream with my husband, and we, you know, streamed online, and we did like a sub goal. So however many people subbed to his channel, I got a book. I got 20 bucks out of it, which was awesome. So we're gonna try for the same thing again, because books are amazing, and that would be a cool present. So I might stream live. I'll let you know all those details later. You know, once we figure it out, it'll be like the third week of February, so don't worry, not tomorrow. But yes, thank you so much for watching my video. Did you like all of my books? Any that you think are great? Like I said, I absolutely recommend Ivory Key and the Blood Trials. If there's two or a few more that I would recommend, those two would be the number one. And of course, but please read those. They were fantastic. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on other social media. It's down below. And I don't think I mentioned this yet, but this shirt is by Threads by Ty. I love it. I love when men shut the fuck up. This is a shirt that was made for me. And if you want to buy anything else, buy them, because they embroider this themselves. I'm going to put their information in the description box, because I like her work and I think she's awesome. And I'll definitely be buying more from Threads by Ty. So thank you so much for watching my video. Have a good day. Goodbye.